Hey guys, in this video we are going to learn how to monitor the different sessions which are connected to the database, and I have just tried to collect the different scenarios which a DBA or an experienced DBA will face in a day-to-day activity. So this will be helpful for you. So I have just collected only few of the scenarios. So when it comes to scenarios, there are thousands of scenarios that we can imagine in a day-to-day DBA activity. So whatever we know is very less. So there are a lot more to learn. Okay, so DBA is an ocean. So let us just learn only the few scenarios which are very common. Okay, so for the scenario you can just create some test case. Okay, just create some sample table for monitoring purpose, and just insert sample records. So you can just get some scenarios in the Google itself. So if you go to the Oracle website itself, you will get some sample tables. Okay, so you can use those scenarios to create the tables. So first let us just check the count of the records in the table. Okay, so first let the insert complete and then followed by the count. So when it comes to monitoring the session, there is only one view which is most commonly used, which is $session. So if you are a typical DBA, then you should be knowing this session, and you will be using very often in day-to-day activity to monitor each and every session. And monitoring the session is the most commonly used or most commonly faced scenario for a DBA, right? So either he will check who connected to the database, what is the SID, what is the serial number, and what is the status of that session, why it is consuming, why it is connected for a long time, or why that session is not getting completed, the SQL statement which are executed by the session are not completed, and there are a lot more than that, right? So it is not only that you will be checking the details of the session, so you will also see in terms of performance as well. So why that session is getting blocked, right? So in case some other session gets the log, then the consequent or the subsequent sessions that are connected, which needs the same lock on the table, will not be able to access. So there will be a blocking session, right? And also we need to identify the program, the application program module, where that application is coming from. So sometimes we may not be able to identify the details of the session. Okay, SID and serial number are just a number, that's it. It is a unique number which is assigned for each and every sessions that are connected to the database. It is like an employee ID. So right, if an employee is joining an organization, he'll be having a unique ID. So it is just a number. He is just a number, that's it, to the organization. So likewise, these SID are just a number for the session, the person that who connected. And if you want to get the username, so every user who are connecting to the database should be having some access. So he will be given a particular user ID, and also status is also very important, right? So if you take a real-time example, so you will do some work, right? So you are given some work by your company, and you are doing some work. So the company will ask for the status of your work, like what is the status, what is the progress, right? So you will say either it is still in progress, or you can say you are at you completed ABC and you are at D stage. So still these many work are pending, something like that you will be saying. So likewise, the status of the session is very important, right? Whether the status is active or inactive, right? So every session will be doing some work. Okay, so if the session is not doing some work, then there is no need of no need for that session to be connected, right? Simply sitting idle, it is just wasting the resource, network resource. Generally establishing a session to the database itself is quite resource consuming, right? So every session has to come through the network, from the LAN, WAN, and from the local network, from the client, and it has to connect to the database end, and server also needs to authenticate, listener needs to authenticate, right? So yeah, let us just see the scenario. So the count of the table is almost 2 million. So first we'll be using this query. Okay, so this is just a basic query from $V session, and currently I have connected with sys user. So I'm just querying my session itself from currently I'm connected to one session, and from that session I'm querying my the same session. Okay, so this is kind of session querying the same session. So if I need to open another session, I can just open another session. But in general, in a real-time scenario, what DBA will do, DBA will not monitor his own session. Okay, so here if you see how you will identify your own session. Okay, how you will identify your own SID. We have a view called mystat. Okay, so you have to remember this. So mystat is a view which contains all the activities that is done by you, the person who was connected to the current session. So currently I have connected to my session. So mystat means it shows all my statistics. Okay, whatever I am doing. So I need to know my SID. So always remember that the first row of $mystat will be the current SID, which means my SID. If I need to identify my SID, where row number less than 2. Less than 2 means the first row, right? Or you can also query like this: fetch first row only. Okay, so my session is 1512. Now I have identified my session. Okay, and if you see, there is also another session which is active and waiting. Okay, so let me just again execute the same query. So you can query this view with multiple filters. Okay, so currently I'm just using username, but in real time, if you just query with the username, you'll see thousands of sessions, say for example. Okay, so if application user, say for example, there is an application user called app user. Okay, so this user has connected to the database via some batch jobs or some backend jobs. So those application jobs are connected with this user. Okay, so those jobs will spawn multiple sub jobs. Okay, so which will just connect to the database concurrently, which means 10 different sessions will be connected, say for example, with the same app user. Okay, in this case, if you just query with the username, then it will give you all the 10 different sessions related to app user. So only when you are when you know the particular user who is causing the trouble, during that time you can directly query with the username, or else you need to focus on SID and serial number, because SID and serial number are the unique number for each and every session, right? So if you see here, there are two sessions, one is 6 and another one is 1512. So if I just check the session ID for the next one, it will be something different. See, the other session ID is 45. Okay, so each and every session will be having a unique ID. Okay, so now if you see, multiple sessions are there. Okay, so some of them will not be our own session. Okay, why you are seeing 6 different sessions? Because So you need to again use type. Okay, type column is very important. Okay, type means it will print foreground and background jobs. Okay, what is foreground and background jobs? So let me just open another session and show you. So you already know the mandatory background processes and also the non-mandatory background process of Oracle, right? If you see, there are a lot of different background processes which are running on the operating system level. Okay, and few of them are mandatory, like PMON, SMON. We have DBWR, LGWR, and we have LREG, right? We have checkpoint. So these are the mandatory, few of the mandatory background process, and others are required when there is some work, right? So every background process will not always do some work, right? So when you are spawning some scheduler jobs, then J00, these processes will spawn. Okay, so when the AWR report and all the performance reports are collected, then M1 process will be spawned. These are M1 slaves, M0. And CJQ is also a kind of a scheduler job, right? And P0, these are all parallel jobs. Okay, when you are executing any parallel process, then only these processes will be actively working. Until that, you will not be able to see on the database end. So these processes will be preoccupying the resources on the OS level. Okay, when they are required, all these processes consume the memory in a preoccupied way. Okay, so that's why you need to dedicate a whole server for Oracle database. You cannot run multiple different databases like SQL Server, Postgres, all the different databases on one server, right? So even if you run it, then you need to allocate the amount of resources. Otherwise, the server will crash, right? So this is the type column. Okay, so this shows you whether the process type is foreground or background. Foreground means user process. User process means whoever that humans. You can take humans as the user process. So I am a human, right? So I have connected to this session. So these are my sessions. So background processes are not human. These are allocated by Oracle itself, Oracle database itself. So these are backend or internal processes. Okay, so you need to first filter out whether it is a foreground or user process. Okay, almost 95 to 99% of the sessions related to background you don't bother. Okay, you need to filter it out. Okay, so if you see now, only 2 user sessions are there, remaining are background sessions, right? So SID and serial number, if you see, everything are unique. Okay, and username, currently there are no application users connected to the database, so all the users are sys. So coming to status, if you see, active, inactive. So yeah, so currently I am this current session ID is 1512, so which is active. Why? Because I am doing some work. I am just executing. I am just doing some monitoring here. So that's why it is currently active. But if you see the other session 45, it is inactive. I am just connected to the session, but I am not doing anything. I am just sitting idle, right? So this is the main status that we need to note. If you are seeing lot of inactive sessions, then they are consuming the resources for no use. Okay, without any use they are consuming, and you may need to take care of those sessions, like killing those sessions, removing from the database. Okay, so another thing is, as I already mentioned, when you are querying, always you need to filter with type not is equal to background. Okay, whenever you are monitoring in a daily scenario. Okay, so that you can remove the clutter. Okay, if there are a lot of background processes running, then it will be a clutter and you will get confused. So you need only the user sessions, right? So what that user is doing. So state means what that particular session state means waiting. Okay, so currently this particular session is not doing anything. It is just simply waiting for some input, right? So input should be from the user, right? I am the user, I am not giving any input, so that's why it is in waiting state. And if you see the current session, it is in wait shorted time, which means I am just executing some query with some gaps. Okay, so I'm just speaking now, so just 5 to 10 seconds I'm just speaking, and then again I'm executing some query. So that's why it is showing as waited short time. So it is just waiting for short time, this session. It is not continuously doing any job. It is just doing some intermediate or intermittent job, right? So if you see, status should be always active, and if it is inactive, then you need to check why those sessions are inactive, and you need to take care of those sessions. Okay, so we need to detect idle sessions holding the resource, validate the connection pooling behavior. So sometimes even if the user, right, who is executing the job or query, he will go for some break, right? So he is on work, say for example, okay, morning at 9 a.m. he comes to work. He is just executing a lot of queries on the SQL Plus, and when it is 12 p.m., right? So 12 p.m. The user will go for lunch. So when he go for lunch, then he will just, sometimes the user will not disconnect the session, right? So if I just exit the session, then only the session gets disconnected. So if I'm not exiting it, then the session will be keep on keep on communicating with the database, in the sense there will be some pings, right? So the session should be kept by the database. That is the rule of the database, right? The sessions cannot be automatically cleared unless until someone else cleared the session. So if he goes for lunch, then this session will become idle, which means inactive. So in this case, there are certain situations where a particular user will execute some job and he will just go. Okay, he will not actively use that session. Okay, during that time, that session needs to be killed. You need to communicate with the user and why this session is still connected without doing any job. So you can just kill those sessions, right? So yeah, the next one is VDLS session wait. Okay, so VDLS session wait is kind of a performance session view. Okay, so let me just execute this dbms log.sleep. Okay, so I'm just locking the session and I'm not doing anything. Okay, so now if you see, so a lot of sessions are there. Okay, where state is equal to waiting. So I'm also getting all the background sessions. So let me just filter it with non-background sessions. Type not is equal to background. And always remember that all the background sessions will be having username as sys. Okay, so apart from sys, there will not be any background process. Okay, only sys user will be responsible for managing all the background process. So here if you see, the log has been started, and now you can monitor this seconds in wait. Okay, seconds in wait will get incremented Okay, so after it gets 30, then this event will become SQL star net message from client. So this means the session is idle, it is not doing anything. That is the meaning of this. Okay, so this is a hint. Okay, so if you need to know if the user is not doing anything, if the user is not if the user is completely idle, he is connected to the session but he is not doing any work, then if you see this message or this event name, then you can easily identify it. Okay, you don't need to make it difficult, right? So you don't need to go and check the status also. Sometimes it may show inactive for the active sessions also. Okay, so even if I'm just executing a long query, right, that query also will become inactive after some time. So now you see it became SQLnet message from client. Okay, before that it was PL SQL lock timer, which means I'm just locking the session intentionally without any reason. So now let it increment to 30, immediately it will change to SQL starnet message from client. Okay, state will be always waiting because I'm not doing anything. Okay, and I'm not querying the current session. Current session will wait for short time, and wait time will always be 0. Wait time is kind of a cumulative value, so it will not be printed. So seconds in wait is the incremented value. Okay, so let me again execute this. Okay, the moment when I execute the query again, it is going back to 0. It is kind of a timer. Okay, so let it come to 30, and again it will go back to 0. No, it will not go back to 0. Yeah, it will be waiting. See, yeah, it went to 0. Now if I sit idle, it keep on the seconds in wait will increment. Okay, so yeah, so this seconds in wait will, so say for example I'm just doing some work. Okay, until that work is completed, the seconds in wait will increment. So after that it will reset. So when I get idle, then if the event change, then it will be reset. Okay, so this is the significance of this view. So next one is blocking sessions. Okay, so when you are updating from the two different sessions, you can use this query to check the blocking sessions. So currently there are no blocking sessions. So in VWS session itself, you have a column called blocking session. Okay, so you need to filter it with blocking session is not null, which means if there are any blocking sessions, this will print the blocking session. Okay, so now let me just update some data. Okay, so I will just open the next session. If I just update the same on the other session, this will be in blocking state. Why? Because I have not committed this transaction. So always you need to remember the transaction rules, right? So two different transactions happening at the same time, modifying the data at the same time, only one the first in first out. The first one who got access to the table will be able to modify it. So unless this session is committed, the other session will not it will not be able to modify the data. It will be in locked or blocking state. Okay, so now if you see, we got a session under this VLLS session. Okay, so we need to identify the blocking session. That is very important, right? So current SID is 51, and who is the blocking session? 45, and event is NQTX roller contention. So NQ is kind of a queue. Okay, so you can take a real-time example of a queue. So if you are going for bank, right? So if you are going to withdraw money, then you have to go in a queue. If hundreds of people are there, right? It is kind of a line. So if you are going for temple, then there will be a big queue, right? It is kind of first in first out. So whoever goes first, he will be on the queue, and once he gets once his job is done, again, yeah, the next one will go inside. So something like that. So there are a lot of different types of NQs, almost hundreds of NQs in Oracle. So TX roller contention. So TX means transaction. Always remember. Okay, transaction NQ, transaction lock. Okay, so if you see the name, it will be quite tedious to understand. Okay, so the names of each and every wait events are kind of misleading. Okay, to be simple, it is just a queue which is just blocking the session. That's it. So here 45 is blocking 51. Okay, so yeah, in real-time situations, you may see these kind of blocking sessions. So blocking sessions are also not that you should not leave blocking sessions that simple. So blocking sessions will even hang the database, and even it may bring down the database. Okay, so here there is only one blocking session, but if there are hundreds of blocking sessions, then the database itself may get hang, right? So that's the rule of the database. So if you see the ACID compliance, right, atomicity, isolation, durability, right? So all these rules make sure that the database is consistent. So C for consistency, right? So to maintain the consistency, two sessions cannot modify the records at the same time. So that's why this message is printed. Okay, so when this blocking session will go, so when the work is completed by this session. Okay, either I need to commit it or I need to roll back. Okay, so in real time you may see a situation where the user will only execute the query sometimes. Okay, not always. So if he forgets to commit the transaction, and if he just leave the session and he went to his home, okay, then the other session has to wait throughout the day, right? Throughout the day or throughout the month, right? Unless until the session is automatically expired or it is automatically closed. So that is why we need to kill this session. Okay, so if the user is not roll back, if he is not committing the transaction, then DBA has to intervene. That's where your job will come. So you need to identify the blocking session, and specifically this SID. So this is the SID. So once you identify the blocking session, you need to identify the serial number as well from VLLS session, where SID is equal to 45 and blocking session is not null. Okay, so SID 45 is the blocking session, right? So we need to give 51. Okay, so yeah, so currently still I am fetching the wrong SID and serial number. Okay, so this is also a confusion, so you should not get confused. So I'm intentionally doing these. Okay, so 51 is my current session, so I should not be killing the I mean not current session, the other session which is getting blocked, right? I should not kill the other session, I should kill the blocking session. So this is the blocked session, right? So I don't need blocking session is not null. Okay, so 45 is the one which is the blocking session, so I need to kill this session. Okay, so yeah, you need to get the confirmation of the application team before you are killing it. Okay, so you should not just because you identified the session, you should not directly kill it. Okay, so DBA should coordinate with the application team who is you need to identify all the details before that. So let me just show you that. Yeah, program, module, action, machine, port, terminal. So lot of informations are there, so you need to first get the details of the session. Okay, so yeah, the program which is connected. Okay, I'm using SQL Plus as the program, and what is the module? It is also SQL Plus. So in real time you may see JDBC thin clients and the application name here. Okay, action will be the application name, module will be the application module. Okay, and yeah, machine, what is the machine? Currently I'm connected to this host, so in real time you may see the machine name of the user, the application user. So if he is connecting from a laptop, his laptop machine name will be there, or his VM, the VM that is connected to, right? And port is 0, so here we don't have any port. And what is the terminal? PTS1. So PTS1 means the current Linux, right? So I am connected to my server, so from the server itself I am connected, that is why terminal is PTS1. And username is sys. So you need to identify all these details. Okay, and then also if you get any SQL ID, you can also identify the SQL ID. You have to give all these details to the application who is connected. So you need to identify who is the application owner who is executing the session. Then you need to either call him or contact him and say that this session is blocking the other sessions and causing performance issue. So you can get the approval from the application owner to kill the session. So once you get the approval, you can kill the session like this. So now this session is disconnected. So if I just commit it, yeah, so the moment when I killed the first session, the second session got updated. If I just commit this session, it will say end of communication. Aura 3113 will be the message. See, Aura 3135 connection lost contact. So this is the message that you get when we kill the session. Okay, and also yeah, so now I can commit this transaction. Okay, also you will see a message in the alert log once you kill the session. Session marked for kill, something like that you will get. Okay, Aura 028, Aura 028. Yeah, so here if you see kill session, you are getting some message. Okay, so you can also identify it via alert log. So if you see this message in the alert log, then this means that someone has killed some session. That's it. If you have not done any, if you have not killed any session, then if you see this message on the alert log, then someone has killed it. Okay, so when you are investigating on any issues, if you see this message, you will get some hint that if you are seeing this kill message, then yeah, during that time someone has killed some session manually. So it is not that the database automatically will kill the session. Okay, so if you see this message, then some human has killed some session. That's it. Okay, so yeah, this is the view. this is the event, right? So as I already mentioned, NQTX is the queue. Let me again connect to the session. Okay, so the session is idle. Okay, so the moment when the update is completed, you will get this message, SQL starnet message from client. Okay, so the update should be somewhat huge. So let me just update something else. Just describe the table. So now you see this event has been changed. Okay, so it has changed to free buffer weights. Okay, generally it should be NQTX roller contention. Okay, but because the buffer cache is not sufficient to hold all the blocks to be updated, so that's why first Oracle needs to free the buffer for updating the data. Okay, so this is completely a big update, so that's why we are not able to see the NQTX roller contention. Okay, otherwise you will see the wait event as NQTX roller contention, and there will be P1, P2, P3. So these three columns are also very important. So when it comes to performance, okay, so when you are troubleshooting any performance issue with the wait events, then you need to see these code. Okay, each and every code will be having some value. Okay, with that value there will be some encrypted meaning for all these numbers. Okay, so either it may be a block number. Okay, so this may be some block number in the buffer cache. Okay, so this may be some the hashing related information. Okay, so I'm not sure about the code. Okay, so each and every P1, P2, P3 will be having some value, and you need to check the value in the documentation. Okay, so almost there are thousands of wait events in Oracle, so each and every wait event will be having these values. Okay, ideal event will not be having these values. So if you see this wait event, right, so this SQLnet message from to client, so this is an idle event. So here if you see, you have some information, some number. So this number have some value, I mean have some meaning. Okay, so next let us go to the SQL information. So if you want to know the SQL text, we can use this query. Okay, always remember that $session contains only SQL ID column. It does not contain SQL text. So if you need to know the SQL text, then you need to join $SQL with the SQL ID. Then you will get the SQL text. Okay, so next one is CPU consumption. So we don't have this test case, so let me just simply use this query. Okay, so this view $sesstat. This is also a session related view. Okay, so this gives all the statistics related to the session. Okay, and if you need to know the CPU utilized by a session, then you need to query this statistics. So $sesstat has a column called name. So if you just describe $sesstat, you have SID, statistics, value, container ID, and yeah, so $sesstat does not directly gives the information, so you need to query $stat name and $sesstat. Okay, always remember that these two views will be combined. Okay, you cannot query only one view to get the information. Always you need to, whenever you are querying the performance related statistics for a session, then both these views need to be joined in the query. Why? Because sesstat contains the SID information and the value, the CPU utilization value. Okay, it is not only CPU utilization value, there are a lot of different statistics. So SID and values under sesstat, and stat name contains the name of the statistics. So if you want to get the name of the statistics, then you need to use this view. But if you are simply querying sesstat, you will get only the SID and the value, which will not give any meaning for the output. So to get any meaning for the output, you need to join both. So that's what we did here. So here we can also add name, so that will be meaningful. St start name sn dot name Okay, so now you got CPU used by this session. So this name is under $stat name, and this CPU used, the value column is under $sesstat, and overall you need to know the SID as well. So then you need to use session. Okay, so if you want to know more details about the session, then you can also add other details as well, like so you need to use session columns, s.program, s.module, s.username, s.sql id. So these will give more details. So that is why we are joining session also. Okay, so now if you see, these two sessions are consuming the highest CPU compared to other sessions, right? Almost 694, 679. So why? Because always background process will not consume CPU all the time. Whenever there is some job which is performed by any background jobs, then only background process will consume CPU. Otherwise they will not consume any CPU. So this update is still in progress, right? So these sessions are the user sessions, so that's why they are consuming CPU. Okay, so you have different statistics. It is not only CPU. So if you just say select name from v$stat name where row number less than 10. So currently I have just queried few of the statistics, right? So you got user calls, user rollbacks, user commits, open cursors cumulative, logons cumulative. So these are user commits, user rollbacks calls are related to the workload, the amount of incoming transaction workload in the database. So if I just count the number of statistics, so there will be almost 2000 statistics are there. Okay, so out of that we have just selected only CPU statistics. Okay, so when you need to monitor the CPU utilization for a particular session for a specific timestamp or for a specific present moment, so these are present CPU utilizations. Okay, these are not historical information. So if I again execute this query, the CPU utilization may be changed, okay, after some time. Okay, so currently it is still the same, but there is some time duration. So when the CPU utilization gets back to the normal, then it will again change. Okay, so the next one is v$process. So this is also an important view. Okay, v$process is completely related to the operating system process information. So if you need to know the PGA used by a process and PGA allocated, total allocated for a particular process, then you can use this view, v$process. Okay, if you describe these two columns, then if you describe v$process, you will get these two columns. Okay, so PGA is completely sorting, hashing, and group by, order by memory, right? So whenever you are using order by, group by, like aggregate on all these queries, then PGA will be consumed. So this is completely memory utilization. So if you want to know the current memory utilization for a particular session, or the session which is consuming more PGA, like the session which is performing more sorts and hashing, then you can indirectly query this view to check who's consuming more PGA. Okay, so the next one is long running queries. So you already would have known long running query means the query which are running for a longer time. Okay, so there are almost 10,000 blocks. Okay, so when this v$session long ops will be populated, when a particular session is doing some work for 10,000 blocks and for more than 6 seconds, so then this view will get populated, which means the information from v$session will be copied to this v$session long ops. Okay, so otherwise you will not get any output from this. Okay, so these are background jobs currently which are running, so that's why it is you are getting these outputs, but I will not get this session which is doing the update. Why? Because this is not part of long running job. The update is already completed, so I have not committed it, that's it. So there are certain select queries which will run for 1 hour, say for example. So those kind of queries and all will be populated under v$session long ops. So you can take statistics jobs, Orman backups, backend advisor jobs. Okay, all these scheduled maintenance jobs, all these jobs will come under. It will be monitored by from the v$session long ops. And apart from that, if a query is running for longer time, like 1 hour or 2 hour, those queries will definitely be under v$session long ops. Okay, so I will explain the columns in a more detailed manner in the later session, since we already seen multiple different scenarios, right? So the next one is parallel monitoring. So let me just execute the query in the parallel, and let me open another session to monitor this. So $px session is one of the view to monitor the parallel jobs. So currently there is no parallel jobs. Yeah. So the moment when this query got executed, you got some output. So after the query is completed, then you didn't get any output. Okay, so I have used 4 parallel servers, so you got 4 different SIDs. Okay, so there will be a query coordinator. Okay, for query coordinator also there will be one SID. Query coordinator is kind of a master, you can say master, or the he is the one who coordinates all the slaves. So this is the master process, and this master process will be spawning multiple parallel slaves. Okay, all those parallel slaves will be doing the actual work. Okay, so then once the work is completed, then all the slaves will collate all the work that is done, and it will give it to the query coordinator session. Okay, so for query coordinator there will be one SID, and all the other parallel slaves there will be 4 SIDs. So here if I say 4 parallel as 4, then you get 5 different SIDs, one for query coordinator, and the main jobs will be done by the parallel slaves. So here 4 means you are telling only the parallel slaves to do the work. Query coordinator is just watching all the parallel slaves who is doing the work. Okay, and next one is DBMS application info. So this is one of the most commonly used package by the application team, not the DBA, but DBA also should know this. Okay, most of the DBAs may not be knowing, may not be using this very often, but since the use case is not relevant, that's why DBAs will not use this. Okay, but when you are tracing any sessions, right? So because why we are not using this, this package will only be used whenever if we need to give some name for a particular job. Okay, so DBAs will not execute any jobs, right, in a real-time system. If it is a production system, only the application team will connect some jobs from the application end, so they will execute all the jobs. It's not the responsibility of the DBA to execute any jobs. So that is why it is not of important. So let me just show you this so that you will understand. So now I have just given some name. So you have just given the module name for a particular session. So okay, so currently I have given my current session as a order app payment, say for example. So now when I just query the module, it will just say order app payment. So what I will do, where type is not equal to background. So if you see, I have just used this filter all the time. Okay, so that is why I'm always stressing this point that you need to always use types not is equal to background, otherwise you will get a lot of clutters, right? So these are all the sessions which we don't even need. So now if you see, we got the module name as order app and action as payment. Okay, so now you got some clear understanding of what this session is doing, right? So likewise, in a real time, if every application sessions or every application owner who is connecting and executing some job, they should give some meaningful name for that job. Okay, so that is the correct way of executing any application jobs. Okay, so it will be easy when there is any performance issue, and if the application owner comes and complains to the DBA, then he can directly say, okay, so I have just named this particular job module or the application module as order app. So it is currently processing some order from the customer, and when the customer just paying some money via online UPI or any online transaction system, we are getting, this particular job is getting triggered. So when the customer is paying the money via any credit card or debit card, and when the bank is getting connected, there is some performance issue. It is taking a longer time for the customer to process the particular order because there is an issue with the payment. So if he explains all these information from an application point of view, then we can directly, as a DBA, we can go and check where module is equal to something like order app. If we directly gives this module name, then we can filter it with order app. Right? We don't even need to search and waste our time. Right? We don't even need to give type not is equal to background. We can directly go and say where module is equal to order app. Okay, or we can just select star from VDLS session. We don't even need to select the column. You can get all the details related to that session. Okay, it is kind of narrowing down or pinpointing the exact session, right? So the most time spent for a DBA when monitoring a particular session is to identify and filter out the session. That's where majority of the time is wasted, right? When a DBA troubleshoots any issue. Okay, so if things are clear, you don't need to search for the session. Okay, it just takes only 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds. You just filter it out directly with the module name, and you got the session details. Okay, so this is the use of DBMS application info package. Okay, so this package has more functions. Okay, now that it is not only set module, you have client info, module name, action name, lot of different other options as well. Okay, so even it has set session long ops, so that it will exclusively record all the information when it is a long running session. For it will be easy to monitor even for the DBA or the application owner. Okay, so yeah, in general we will not be DBA will not be using this package. Okay, but if you are tracing any sessions, right, for a performance reason, you can use this application info so that you can easily identify that session which is getting traced. Yeah, so this is the same VDLS session query. So we have an OS user. Okay, so to identify a particular session and client information, you can also get the OS user. Currently we don't have any other sessions connected, so we are already connected to the server, Oracle server, so that's why we will not be having any other OS user. So other details are already explained, right? So program, machine and all. And next one is to kill the inactive sessions. Right, we already killed one session as an example. So currently it says no row selected. Okay, so if I don't use last call ET, then it will show some session. Why? Because this particular session is idle. This session is idle, so that's why it is showing as idle. But when what is last call ET? That is also a very important column. Last call ET means last call elapsed time, which means when that particular session has communicated or it was active the last time. Here I have just filtered with greater than 3600, which means it is almost an hour, right? 1 hour. So here we are not connected to this video itself for 1 hour. So if I filter out with last call ET greater than 5, then we will get output. Why? Because this particular session is inactive for almost more than 5 seconds, right? So if I just check the last call ET as well, it will be some greater number. It will not be a small value. See, it is 233, almost 233 seconds. Okay, which means it is almost 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. So previously we executed this module query. So after that it is 4 minutes. So it is still idle. Okay, so if I execute anything again on this session, then this last call ET will be reset. Okay, so now let me execute the same query again. Now it will become no row selected, because last call ET is not even greater than 2 seconds. So now let me again query this. Yeah, so now I got the session information. Now it is 16 seconds. So now you hope you understand this. So if you need to identify any sessions, whether it is currently active or was it active for the past 1 hour or was it active for the past 30 minutes, you can use this column, right? So how long a particular session was active earlier. Currently it is inactive. So but when it was last active, it was last active before 16 seconds. Now again if I query the same view, now it is last active before 1 minute. Okay, that is the meaning of this. Okay, so these are all the most commonly used scenarios, but still, as I already mentioned, there are thousands of scenarios that are faced in a day-to-day activity by any DBAs. So I will provide you more videos and helpful scenarios like this in future. So hope you like this video, and if you want to subscribe this channel, you can also subscribe this channel. Okay, thank you for watching.